This past week, Giannis Antetokounmpo won his second NBA MVP, only the 12th player in league history to win the award in back-to-back seasons, and only the 3rd player to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season, joining Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan as the only players to accomplish this feat. At only 25 years old, Giannis has ascended to all-time levels. But after an ugly second-round exit in this year's playoffs, there has been furious backlash by many NBA fans saying Giannis did not deserve the MVP, and that LeBron James was robbed of the award. At face value, this sounds like a decent argument. I mean, one of them is at home watching the playoffs, and the other is pushing violently towards his 4th championship. But how much truth is there to this bold claim? Was LeBron James really robbed of his 5th MVP? Or was Giannis truly the most valuable player in the NBA this season? Today's video is brought to you by Swagbucks. Swagbucks lets you earn extra cash and gift cards by watching videos, playing games, taking surveys, and even shopping online, all in the comfort of your home. You can earn gift cards to places such as Walmart, Amazon, Target, and many other retailers. Times are tough, and with so much uncertainty, what better time to take advantage of Swagbucks than now? My friends and I have used Swagbucks over the years, and I have personally earned tons of extra cash, gift cards, and discounts with them. Be sure to check out Swagbucks today by clicking the link in the description and get an extra $5 bonus when you take your first survey. Thank you, Swagbucks, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get into it. Now, first I want to show you guys something very interesting. A chart. I know. Big surprise. So here are the top 100 players in the entire NBA, with player efficiency rating on the x-axis and real box plus minus on the y-axis. 2 advanced stats that give some perspective to how productive, efficient, and valuable players are. The further up and the further right, the better. As you can see, most players fall down here. This isn't bad or anything. Keep in mind, only 1 in 4 players even make this chart. As you go up, you'll begin to see outliers. And as you go further, you get into superstar territory. Kawhi, Jokic, Harden, and way at the top, in his own stratosphere, is LeBron James, the man who was apparently robbed of this year's MVP. So, where's Giannis? Right about here. So far above his competition, you would think he had a perfect regular season. And that's because he nearly did. This season, Giannis led the league in field goals, defensive rebounds, PER, defensive rating, defensive win shares per 48, box plus minus, and defensive box plus minus. All of this while carrying the Bucks to the best record in the NBA and averaging 29, 14, and 6 a game. The only other player to put up numbers like this in the last 35 seasons was a peak Shaquille O'Neal. Because Giannis's regular season was so good that rather than comparing him to other players this year, a more appropriate comparison would be to all-time historic seasons. Giannis finished the regular season with the 9th highest box plus minus of all time, the 8th highest defensive box plus minus of all time, and the highest player efficiency rating in the history of the NBA, beating Wilt Chamberlain's record that stood for nearly 60 years. For perspective, no other player in the entire league cracked any of these lists this season. So what do LeBron's numbers look like compared to Giannis? Well, despite LeBron having an incredible 17th season, Giannis beats him in points per game, rebounds per game, blocks per game, true shooting percentage, and led his team to more wins. But we all know these numbers aren't great indicators of a player's impact. So what about some of the more advanced stats? Well, Giannis tops LeBron in just about every single one of those as well. His game isn't the prettiest. He doesn't have any true skill set to fall back on. But the MVP award, and I cannot stress this enough, is a regular season award. And in this year's regular season, Giannis was about as unstoppable as any player has ever been. We already know what he's going to do when his 7-foot frame comes barreling down the court, and yet no one was able to do anything about it. You try to stick him with a big man, and Giannis is way too quick and athletic to guard. You try to stick him with a smaller defender, we all know how that goes. The MVP award is given to the player with the best regular season, not the best player in the league. But the most common knock circulating about Giannis' second MVP is that he didn't show up when it mattered most in the playoffs, so he can't possibly be the most valuable player. And although there is some truth to this statement, this is simply not how the award works. NBA Talks on Instagram conducted an interesting experiment seeing who would have gotten the MVP if the award included the postseason. He looked at the last 20 seasons and replaced the actual MVP with who he felt would have gotten the award if their playoff performance was taken into consideration. With a few adjustments of my own, this is what that list looks like. Of the last 20 seasons, only 8 of the actual MVP winners would have won the award if it included the playoffs. 8. For example, in the 2016-2017 regular season, Russell Westbrook won the MVP, and his team nearly got swept in the first round of the playoffs. In 2007, Dirk Nowitzki won league MVP and then got bounced out of the first round by an overachieving Warriors team. Now, do I agree with all of the MVP winners over the last 20 seasons? No. There are a few MVP awards that were given out strictly because of the narrative, and we all know how much the media loves a good narrative. But not this one. Giannis earned this MVP based off of merit, and believe it or not, value. So the main problem here is that fans view the regular season MVP as an award that covers both the regular season and the playoffs, when in reality, the playoffs are a different season altogether. This is why regular season stats and playoff stats are completely separated. This is why the voting for regular season awards is completed before the playoffs even begin. This is why there is literally an MVP award specifically for the playoffs. If you want to make the argument that the postseason should be factored in when voting for the MVP, well then that's a completely separate argument. At that point, you are changing the criteria for the award. And although I can see the argument, there is a reason why the regular season MVP award is completely separated from the playoffs. In some cases, the most valuable player can provide immense value to a team, but that doesn't necessarily translate to them being a top contender. In the 1987-1988 season, Michael Jordan racked up the highest win share total in modern NBA history of 21.2, which means MJ was single-handedly responsible for 43% of the Bulls' wins that season. He was by far the most valuable player that year, and he rightfully received the award. So what was the result for this historic season for Michael and his team? A second-round exit and a gentleman's sweep to the Detroit Pistons. Was Isaiah Thomas more valuable than Michael Jordan that season? The Lakers went on to win the championship. So was Magic Johnson more valuable than MJ that season? No, they weren't. But since Mike hadn't found the right situation yet, and since other teams were dominating the league that season, by the logic of some fans, Mike wasn't the most valuable player that season, just like how some fans are arguing Giannis was not the most valuable player this season. But he was. And it wasn't even close. And we haven't even discussed the quality of help Giannis and LeBron are getting respectively. This season, both LeBron and Anthony Davis made first-team All-NBA, a feat that hasn't happened since Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire did it back in 2007. But even more rare is the amount of times a player has won league MVP while playing with another first-team All-NBA teammate since the league expanded back in 1974. Here is the full list of duos to ever accomplish this feat. That's it. That's the whole list. Only once in 46 years has a player won regular season MVP while playing alongside a first-team All-NBA teammate. So when you consider the numbers, the impact, the sheer dominance, the broken records, and the value, it becomes strikingly clear why Giannis won the MVP. To say that LeBron James was robbed would question the validity of nearly every regular season MVP ever won. This award does not care about the playoffs. It doesn't care about how pretty your game is or how deep your offensive bag is. Granted, it doesn't always go to the most deserving player. This season, the voters got it right. Giannis was far and away the most valuable player in the 2019-2020 NBA season, and his resume grows once again, now creeping towards levels only all-time greats have reached. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time.